I'd like to call Larry Paulson, Vice President and President, Qualcomm India, on stage. Good morning, Larry.
Thank you. Good morning. Do I need a mic?
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go. Okay.
Good morning.
Just to let everybody know, the reason why Larry is looking so nice and tanned is because...
I have been diving under the Indian Ocean. It's beautiful.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so if he just left it at diving, that would have been even more interesting. But yes, under the Indian Ocean. So that's why he's looking so healthy and tanned. But let's now find out about the health, about the future. So Larry, I'm going to start off straight away and deep dive, and I'd like a lot of people to get interactive. I'll open to questions for you. Remember those prizes? We'll give away a few Fitbits for the best questions. But right now, Larry, I'm going to do some of them. I'll win no prizes for the questions, though. So what I'm going to ask you about is, at the Mobile World Congress, I saw a few devices from Qualcomm, powered by Qualcomm, done by other companies, that were laptops. Always-on laptops, great battery life. They use these very low-powered chips from Qualcomm, but they were always on in terms of they were always connected to the network. It was like a mobile phone in the shape of a laptop. Do you believe this to be the future?
Yes. I mean, I believe, okay, if you step back for a second, it's kind of interesting you would open with a discussion on a laptop, right? And since we have a lot of young engineers here, and I'm sure their minds, there's a lot of entrepreneur and innovation thinking in there. I firmly believe that actually if you step back for a minute and think about highly successful companies, it isn't always, new inventions are actually quite rare. They happen, but they're actually quite rare. John mentioned Tesla. Tesla didn't invent the electric car, they just made it better. Google certainly didn't invent search, they just made it better. Facebook didn't invent social networking, they made it better. So let's pause for a minute on the laptop. The laptop industry itself just reported the 14th consecutive quarter of declining sales. Having said that, it's still a very substantial market here in India, 5, 6, 7 million units a year. So that product that you saw was, if you will, the concept of making it better. And so there's two deficiencies that exist inside the laptop that have caused it to be stabilized. One is lack of innovation. Lack of innovation always slows down sales. But really, on the product side, it's the, it really is the battery life, the always-on, and the connectivity. So what we have learned, our development, it was interesting, John's presentation, as you said, was good for the mind to get it moving early in the morning. Our development of our Snapdragon series, we had recognized now that our 800 series had become so powerful that it actually could drive and enable pop and play, replace existing processors in the laptop business. So Microsoft came to us and said, we have this issue. We want to reinvigorate the laptop business. We know it's there for a long time. Can you help us? And so our DNA is the opposite of the typical processor company for laptops. Our DNA has power management at the heart and soul of it because smartphones are run by small batteries, and so power management is very, very important. And the second part of that is the connectivity. So we worked on a program quite aggressively with them, with Microsoft, to if you will, reinvent the laptop. And so the product that you saw contains a integrated Snapdragon processor that solves this issue. And so we have power management in the laptop. Laptop by design is so much easier than a smartphone because you have real estate, right? Large display drives the size of the device.
Just to let everybody know, these laptops with normal usage, what you would be doing every day, could last up to a week.
Up to 7 days, yeah.
Up to 7 days. You don't need to charge your laptop.
And always on
always
LTE.
Be always on, always connected. Yes.
Always on LTE connectivity. So very innovative, and I see that as, yeah, as a significant change in the business. And as we roll this out, it's rolling out now by a number of the major laptop producers. And as that rolls out, I think you'll see traction, and I think you'll see a reboost in that business.
Okay, all right. So the second one that comes in, I get asked this all the time, so let me throw this one out to you. A lot of people have started saying that processors and everything else, the specs of a normal smartphone today, are already too powerful, right? I mean, it's now only become a marketing gimmick to keep talking about the cores, the megahertz, and whatever else you're talking about in a processor, they're already too powerful. Do we still need to keep this hockey stick growth of making the processor so powerful? You've said that mobile phone processors are so powerful they can now drive a laptop. But if you flip it around, do we need processors in a smartphone that are so powerful that they can drive a laptop?
Yeah,
or is it overkill now?
Okay, so John threw out some numbers, 5 billion users. The renewal rate of the mobile phone industry, it is the largest single consumer platform on the planet. There's no doubt about that. It's 2+ billion units a year. When you include feature phone, it's 1.5 billion if you talk about smartphone. So there's nothing like that on the planet. So what does that mean? Well, when you break that down, that means segmentation, right? So at Qualcomm, I mean, it was interesting also the discussion on cost, right? So at Qualcomm, what we've done is we have a Snapdragon 200, 400, 600, 800 series. And that is a segmented offering to basically exactly address what you've just said. You do not need to take all of that power and put it in every single device. The user will not find a need for that. But to think that we could slow down the development, no, that's impossible. With the influx now of AI or artificial intelligence, which I know you've got a lot on the agenda today, with the demands, I mean, think about this, right? This is a lifeline, right? And so it's a lifeline for so many people because of their daily behavior, daily activity. And whether it's just a simple pleasure, joy of messaging or WhatsApping, or whether it is actually driving it as an industrial tool to sign off on this or send an invoice or do a billing or make a claim or whatever. So there's no way that we can slow down the development of this as a processor. The demands just continue to grow and grow.
Okay, great. My last question before I open it to audience is on 5G. Once again, a technology which I think is going to be affecting all of us. But the big question that is constantly being asked is, we kind of did 3G. We're kind of doing okay with 4G now. Does a country like India need 5G already? I mean, it's being told to us that it's just around the corner. We're almost right there. India will lead it. So my two-part question is, are we ready for it in India? And do we really need it right now?
Yeah, okay. Those are a two-part question, so I'm going to have to give you a two-part answer, okay, to that question. Let me again step back, particularly for a lot of people that, are maybe one step removed from this. I've been at this for 30 years, okay? And so I've been through all 5 of the Gs. And the traditional time lag between these Gs has been about 7 years, right? So about every 7 years we've had a new G. And as an example, when we were jumping from 2G to 3G, it was all about data. And 3G was going to bring us digital data. But actually, it did, but not well. It really took until 4G for that to happen.
Data to become, yes.
And then we jumped from 3G to 4G, and the same questions were asked. Do we need this? What's the use case? We already have 3G. And then what 4G LTE really brought was not just faster data, but it brought IP-based services. So you have broadcasting, point-to-multipoint broadcasting, EMBS as it's called. You have VoLTE, which is voice over LTE or voice on digital voice, which is a big driver behind voice in India becoming essentially free, okay? And so with these technologies comes secondary benefits. So as we jump from 4G to 5G, yes, we will have a step function improvement in speed, but 4G was also bringing us IoT and bringing us IoE and the connectivity of, if you will, machine-to-machine devices. But the reality is that we will need 5G to accomplish that objective. We will need to reduce latency. We will need to do a number of things in terms of capacity from a connectivity as we start to move from 5 billion to 50 billion.
For instance, I think a lot of you would be very interested in the very idea of a car that drives itself. Let me actually find out. I always like doing this question. So to everybody out here, how many of you are excited by the idea of a car that drives itself? Let's see a show of hands. How many? Everybody here also.
Wow.
Okay,
wow.
That's I'd say pretty much almost everybody there just a few people here who weren't too interested.
They're
right?
just a little more shy.
Right,
so.
yeah, a little
Or
bit
older.
more shy. Okay, so I'll tell you what, can you all keep your hands up to those that said, yes, we're really excited by it. Just keep your hands up. And now keep your hands up if you're also still excited by the idea of a car that drives itself, but you will put into that car alone your 4-year-old child, niece, or nephew, and let the car drive that child to school all alone. Keep your hands up, all those that will be okay with that. We've had about a 50% drop already, 50%. Right?
Most of them aren't parents yet. So.
Well, one of the things that will make, that's why I said niece or nephew. To most other times, it's always just your child. So one of the things that will keep them a little bit safer would be that kind of speeds of 5G and low latency, yes. Right? Okay, I'm going to open the question now, and we'll play this a little smartly, of course. We have a very interesting thing. We have something called throw mics. Can I get a throw mic? Yeah, okay. Okay, so I can do this here. Maybe one of you could do it for the audience there, right? So you could stand right there in the corner. We're going to do this. We're going to give away a Fitbit Alta, right? The one with the heart rate, to the best question. But we'll play a small little game between the people here and all of you there. So one question from here, one from there, but only one of you will win, okay? So I'm going to start off with a question from here. Anybody? The first question, and okay, I'll have to really stretch my hand to throw to you. You had to be the last person, right? Are you good to catch this? Okay, let's see. Okay, that's gone completely wrong. So you're supposed to look at me while I'm throwing. Okay, can somebody pick that up? Yeah, okay. We'll start with a question from you.
Hi, Rajiv. My name is Ashish.
Hi,
so I'm working for Optimus BlackBerry team.
Okay.
So my question is for Qualcomm.
Larry, yes.
When we see Qualcomm chipsets coming for automatic cars, so we are very passionate. China is also working on automatic cars. So when will be the chipset coming?
Okay, so he's basically now asking you, you've reached the laptop. When do you build the chip for powering an entire car?
Okay, so let me explain a little bit about the automobile for a second. So, and I'll do this as brief as I can. So there's two primary factors going on in the automobile. So one is obviously that central brain that would be driving these sensors and driving this information that is essentially automizing the car. The second is the communication piece, the media piece, and that communication piece that essentially is having that automobile talk through the modem into the network. In that particular part of the business, as well as the multimedia device in the car, we are very active today. We have agreements with dozens of car companies and are a supplier in that particular part of the activity today. And then in that central processing area, in that CPU area, there are other companies that have taken specialties on that. But there is Qualcomm technology. I'd be remiss if I started naming all the brands, but there is Qualcomm technology in many, many vehicles active today by the millions and millions of units.
I think he wanted to know when will be the one that will take over the entire car itself.
Yeah.
So maybe we can have a... Okay, so where are we throwing the... Okay, so throw it out. There are hundreds of hands up, so all yours. Let's see which one gets it. Okay. Okay, to no one. That was a bit too hard. Okay, so now, whichever person's voice I hear first. Okay, we're good to go. Let's get started. Question, do stand up, do introduce yourself, and then we'll go. So he threw it so hard that the mic has come out. Always a great start.
There's a learning in every process, right?
I'm Utkarsh Patel.
Okay, where are you? Okay, there are two people talking. Okay, so with the girl now.
Ladies
all right.
first.
Now remember his question. Go for it.
So my question is about the laptops which can last for 7 days. Is it the battery where we're seeing this innovation? Are these new kinds of batteries, and what are they? And if not, is it your processors, which are, even though they are getting stronger, but they're using less battery, and they've reduced that percentage significantly?
Yeah. No, without question. As I said to you, our DNA as a company is mobile first, right? So our development process has always been optimized, focused, and, if you will, innovated around energy management, because it's a natural requirement. The laptop, as a historic product, has not needed that. So the replacement of the processor with a Snapdragon 800 series processor has created a greater than 50% efficiency in power management. The battery's the same. And so it's basically how it is being utilized and run that is producing this 1 week standby time.
Do you want to ask a follow-up question of when your phone will last a week?
Yes, I really want to know that because I use OnePlus 3T and initially my battery lasted for at least 2 days without charging, but now it doesn't. So it really is a concern.
So I could give you a technical answer to this in simple terms. We have seen improvements in our processing technology from 28 to 14 to now 10 nanometer, and there's innovation around 7 nanometer. The primary benefit of all of that, imagine putting billions of transistors onto something, if you can even see, smaller than the eyeball. The transition of all of that is producing, again, energy efficient products. At the same time, what John talked about, the design trade-off, we're now seeing 4,000 and 5,000 milliamp batteries. There is a linear attached to this. If I give you a 3,000 milliamp battery at a certain price in your device, you're going to get X time. If I give you a 4,000, you're going to get X plus. I give you a 5,000, you're going to get X plus plus. So now we're seeing very thin smartphones, which utilizing very latest technology with up to 5,000 milliamp batteries that are certainly doubling this time to at least 2 days, right, from that perspective. But the battery in a laptop, you would not put in your back pocket, okay, in a smartphone. So there's just certain pragmatic limitations that will continue to drive what our capabilities are or are not. But it is a constant strive and a constant goal.
But on your phone that's not giving you very good battery life, I can take it to a week right now. 3 simple things you do, okay? Keep the screen off at all times, don't use Wi-Fi, and don't connect to any network. Guaranteed 1 week.
Sell it off.
Guaranteed 1 week. Okay, last question. Where's the mic? Okay, could you stand up, introduce yourself by your name?
I'm Utkarsh Patel. Yeah, my question is that is Qualcomm is working on the technology that it can adapt to the phone as per the user.
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you?
So I think he's talking about the fact that, now Qualcomm Snapdragon can actually downstep and upstep depending upon if you're playing a game or if you're just browsing. Is that what you're really saying? That the processor can actually shut off
adapt to the system or the application.
Right, correct, right. So what's the
while
question?
playing the game, the Qualcomm processor accelerates.
So that's a great statement and observation. What's the question?
Yeah, my question is that there is upcoming technologies in Qualcomm? Snapdragon processor.
It already does that.
No, as we can see, it is not fully optimized.
Okay.
Means that while playing the game, other background processes are also working. It is utilizing the battery. But if we will optimize in a single direction, then all the focus and all the optimization power will be focused on one or single app.
So when you're playing the game, you don't want any calls, no messages, no
yeah.
emails. You want to
That
be cut off
creates
from
a
the rest of the
disturbance.
world.
Yeah.
You want to be cut off from the rest of the world.
Because that's create a disturbance. Is anyone is playing game?
So you need to come up with a processor that with artificial intelligence knows that the person like him, when he plays a game, he does not want to be disturbed by the rest of the world, focus, shuts off the phone completely, game over, 3 lives gone, life comes back, right?
Yeah, so I would only comment I would make, I understand now. I understand clearly what your ask is. But you see, that's a use case. And so that's actually, if you will, a software application or a software use case where you would simply have to set up a profile. And you would set up a profile that would do what you do. It's no different than you do like airline mode, right? Airplane mode shuts off all the radios, but doesn't, change the phone. And so as I think through this is just a simple, one of you out there could do this.
Yes.
There's nothing in our technology that would prevent that. One of you should write an application for a profile mode for gaming. and decide what is shut off and what is not shut off, and then
the
set
time
up a
you're
menu
gaming, right.
so the user can set that profile and customize it. It's a very simple thing to do. Why don't you guys just invent that?
Great. So now the time for the, we'll have to move on. I'll come back to you for the next panel discussion. The choice is the person who wants you to take over the automobile industry, the girl that wants you to give her a 7-day battery life on her phone, or the person who says, when I game, I want no life. Who wins the Fitbit?
I'm going with the lady.
With the lady. All right.
All right.
You win a Fitbit. We'll get someone to come and give you your Fitbit. Congratulations. That's the first one we're giving away. We have lots of things to give away, so keep the interactivity going. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Larry, as always. It's fantastic speaking with you. I'll take that. Keep it right here. For you two, we have an artist from Mojarto that would like to present a painting to you. Tirthankar Biswa. If I could have, yes, the painting, yes. There you are. Okay. Come, why don't you stand with him and take a picture, please? Yes. Thank you, Larry. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot.